So you might be aware that I'm actually in the process of redoing my shrimp tanks. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to give you the lowdown on how my current setup is. So when I have got it all up and running in the new layout, you'll be able to compare like how it was to how it will be. Now let's get on with the video.
It's all about shrimps, simply shrimps.
Good day everybody and welcome to this video. Now I'm pretty excited to actually make this video because it will be a great way of sort of documenting the evolution of my shrimp room. You can kind of see this video as the last shrimp room update before I update the shrimp room. Before I start rambling too much, let's get on and give you the lowdown of how this setup pretty much works. So these are my 4 shrimp tanks at the moment. We have my crystal black shrimp tank, which is doing amazingly. Look at all those babies on the glass. And in here also we have red cherry shrimp. Let's see if we can get some footage of them. Oh look, there's one red cherry there to the left. Uh-oh, we have an imposter. I need to take that crystal red out. It's a cull. Well, I'll put it in my coal tank, which leads me onto the tank next to it, which is my coal tank. And there is primarily snails in here. Malaysian trumpet snails, but there's quite a lot of green shrimp in here, so they do just kind of blend in, though I can't actually see any at the moment. But I've not been taking too many coals out. Anyway, that's my coal tank. Underneath there we have my crystal red shrimp tank with blue dreams. I love the grade of these crystal reds. They've got such solid colorations. Oh my gosh, the glass is dirty, I'm so sorry. Blue dreams at the back there, and obviously hundreds of Malaysian trumpet snails there. Oh wow, look at the dark coloration on that blue dream. Very dark. So that's that tank there, and then to the right of that, there's pretty much nothing in this tank. It's not been running for a while. All it's got in it is plants. So they're doing amazingly as well. We've got some water tang in there and some moss balls. Now, although they are technically 4 different systems, they're all linked together by the same air pump, which is hidden up here. Well, it's not really hidden. Good thing about having it high up is that it won't sort of, if the power goes out, it's not going to siphon the water back out, so I don't need to have any no return valves in it. So yeah, this single pump here is powering all 4 tanks. So we've got 2 tubes coming out of this. We've got a blue one and we've got a clear one. Personally, I've always found like the blue tubing to be a better longevity than the clear one. The clear one seems to always go sort of rigid over the course of a year or so, and just kind of where the air comes out and where it goes into the tank, whereas the blue one, I just think it has a longer life than the clear one really. Anyway, so the blue one goes down underneath here to the top 2 tanks, where it goes to some valves, and they're pretty much there to split up the 2 tanks. So this one goes to my coal tank up there and in there. And then obviously the other one goes to the crystal black shrimp tank and provides a nice flow rate. I love how it just kind of sits on the back there, nice and easy, and I can like see which valves are open and not, just rests on the back of the tank. And the clear tube continues to go all the way down the back to another set of valves. Here we go. So obviously one of them will power the crystal red shrimp tank and the other is currently turned off, but it would power this sort of planted tank really. And I always love to have a couple of extra valves than you actually need, just in case you need to kind of plug in an egg tumbler or something. It's always good to have a spare. It saves you sort of cutting up pipe and putting a T-junction in later on. So I'm pretty much going to have a similar system powering the new setup, but I'm just going to get an extra air pump. So there's one air pump powering the top tank and there's one air pump powering the bottom tank, because it's going to be divided into 4 tanks, and I know that one of these has enough power to power 4 tanks. Maths. Lighting, what a bright idea. So how the lighting system works on these tanks is I have a timer just here, and that is set on for about 7 hours a day, and plugged into that is an extension cable which sits just above here where all 4 of the lights are plugged in. So basically when the switch goes off, they all go off, and when the switch comes on, they all come on. So it kind of works in unison. Now when I update the system, what I might do is invest in a bigger light. So I've not got 4 lights, I've just got 2 lights. One for the top row and one for the bottom row. These are just cheap LEDs really, because I haven't really got any complicated growth. It's just like moss. Well, you know, shrimps love moss, so all I'm gonna keep in there really is moss. Look how crazy it's doing really. Now the way I've actually hung the lights I'm pretty chuffed with, and it works. It's very efficient really, and you can adjust the height. All I've done is put some hook screws in here, a couple there, and all this is garden sort of wire for tying beanstalks and stuff to canes. I've just got that to the right length, twisted it around to form a loop, and hey presto. I suppose you could use string as well, but this is easier to undo than trying to untie a knot. And if I wanted to raise it up a bit, just bend the metal and voila, it's a bit wonky, but then I'd level out the other side. So it's really easy and simple to use. I'm also gonna most likely be keeping this sort of system for the new tanks, though I'll just be having a bigger light going across the whole lot, as the hooks are kind of already in the shelf above. And these hooks are actually really useful for other things, like I've got the airline tube at the back there, hooking on and keeping it out of the way. So if I do need to trace it back, I can just grab it rather than trying to reach down the back and pick up the airline tubing really. So all these tanks bar one are actually drilled. Now the reason why I drilled them is to try and make water changes easier. So I had a pipe coming out of them and it went up here, and I thought if I put that pipe in a bucket, if I put new water in the tank, then it's going to overflow the old stuff out and into a bucket. However, I've probably done that once or twice since having the whole setup. Now I kind of just siphon from behind the back of the HMF filter and fill it back up again in there. So I think in theory the drilling would have worked if I literally had an industrial unit with loads of tanks and automated water changes, but for 4 tanks really, I'm good at just siphoning the water out and putting it in. So the new tanks, they're not going to be drilled, and the way I'm going to do water changes is by, again, siphoning the water out, having the water container up here, and slowly dripping it back in. And I do have, where is it down here, some float valves to kind of regulate the rate of water going back in, so it's a nice gradual water change. So I look forward to setting that up. Right, so I'm not gonna lie, the thing I'm most looking forward to setting this whole new tank system up is getting rid of this duckweed. It is the bane of existence in my tanks, and yeah, I'm just so excited to set up a new system and not have any in it. It's such a foolish mistake of mine putting it in. The evaporation lids as well, as I just showed you, they're kind of all different mix matches of lids from different companies. Apart from this one here, which I did actually make myself, I cut it to shape, and I will be using this style of lid for the tanks that I'm putting up here. So I've got plenty of this sort of corrugated plastic to cut up and make a video on how I did that. To prove I'm not lying to you, look, I mean, you must have seen it. Duckweed in here. I've pretty much got on top, surprise, surprise, of a duckweed in here, but there is still duckweed in here to a degree. Ah. We go down here. Don't even need to lift the lid up there, look. Duckweed. And then, as I showed you first, duckweed. If there's anything that I'm promising to myself, it's to get rid of that duckweed. And then I suppose the last thing to really add is that instead of all the tanks having HMF filters in, which I really do love, they're probably one of my favourite filters, but really in these new tanks I haven't got room to install them, and they're all going to have these sort of dual sponge filters in them, which to be honest do just as good a job, And it's going to have 4 in one tank. But yeah, I'll be setting them up in the new tank instead of HMF filters. I think that's pretty much the lowdown of my tanks. Of the old system, I'll probably call it, because of the new system being set up. And just look at it. It's just a mix match of hickledy-pickledy tanks, and yeah, although they've got shrimp in them, it just kind of looks a little bit like a mess, really. They've got different filters in them, they're different heights. I can't wait to set up this new system where it's just going to be a rack of tanks divided into 4, all unison, different species in each one. I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope you guys are too as well. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of this video, and what's to follow it is a series of DIY tank setup videos. So I'm drilling glass currently at the moment. I'm in the process of doing that. That video will be out next week. I've got to silicon glass, I've got to reseal it, make lids for them. Also painting the background, showing you how to do that. So if you're looking forward to those videos and want to know how to do that kind of thing, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done already, and join me on this adventure and journey of setting up these tanks. If you did like this video, then whack that thumbs up. Don't forget to leave any comments, questions or queries below of the whole process of setting up the tanks, or the old system, as I said. And until next week's video, I shall see you in next week's video. Yeah, see you later, guys.
It's all about shrimps, simply shrimps. Let's keep things shrimple, simply shrimps. Do 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 do. Yeah.